Good morning, Bismarck, Mandan, Fredonia, New York, and all of our listeners worldwide. We're happy that you're joining us today, listening to United Way's Community Talk. I'm Jenna Gullo. I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Slope Area-Wide United Way, and co-hosting with me today is Ms. Amber Jensen, the Operations Manager at United Way.
Good morning, everyone.
Did you have a good Memorial Day weekend? Are we awake yet?
Almost.
Oh,
Luckily, I
gosh.
had a 7 a.m. with somewhat of a coffee. I'm not a coffee person, but I went as far as I could.
God bless you. And then we're working this evening, volunteer working. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to be at Saxvik Elementary helping with their family night.
Yeah, we're excited to be helping Revive Church help serve food. I think they're going to be grilling up some hot dogs. And so if your kid goes to Saxvik Elementary, hopefully we'll get to meet you tonight and to see what a great school that is and celebrate. What do they have, a week left of school before they head out to summer?
I know, and they just dug up that time capsule.
Yeah, so that will
really
be fun.
neat. From 1976, there was a janitor who still works at Saxvik Elementary, and he remembered exactly where they buried it. And they had to dig through, I think, the parking lot.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah, and they dug it up, and so they're going to be opening it. Is it June 1st?
The last day of school, so June 3rd, 2nd?
Yeah, I don't know.
2nd, I believe. Yeah, from 2 to 3. So that will also be really fun. It's been great to have the Women United group and really involved at Saxvik Elementary. We do the Adopt a Classroom program there twice a month, and it really just gives us a great opportunity to be role models and mentors to those kids. We get to have recess, have lunch with them. I've helped in the kindergarten class, so last week I got to read to some of the kids and just help on some different math activities. It's just a great opportunity to help those kids and be that positive mentor for them.
June 2nd at 2 p.m., Saxvik Elementary is going to be opening up their time capsule. It's really neat, and actually United Way is helping to make sure every kid has a surprise. We won't say what that surprise is, but it has a good surprise on their last day of school.
Yeah, send them off to summer in a good, positive way.
It is a surprise, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so, for the kids.
So they might receive a surprise. They might not.
Yeah, that's
we'll
right.
have to wait and see till June 2nd. So June 1st is a great day in the world. Do you want to know why?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, do I know what June 1st is?
Well, you should, Amber Jensen. It is my mother's 75th birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Wish you were up here celebrating with us. It's been gorgeous. It hasn't been humid like it is back home in western New York State. It's been gorgeous. It's actually a little chilly. She would love it today.
Yeah, it is. I am regretting that I didn't wear my sweater out of the office to come here.
I know. I had a sweatshirt in my car. And so, anyways, June 1st.
It's the big day.
Big day. 75th birthday. I can't believe she's 75. I'm happy she's still here with us. She had some health issues a few years ago, but she's a strong woman. And so we can't wait to get her back up in in God's country up here in Nodak land. Right. They'll probably be here in August, but I'm pushing that they come a little bit sooner. So everyone who hasn't met my mom, she's just the best. I love her. I love you, Mom. Hopefully she got her computer up and running so she can hear me. She's our one loyal listener on her show. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So they're going to come for Day of Caring in August? Is that what they're thinking?
I don't know.
Or are they trying to stay away so we don't put them to work?
I don't know. I told them that you're getting married August 27th. So they said, well, that's okay. You kids can just go to the wedding. I said, well, we'll probably need the whole day at the wedding and then the next day to recover from the wedding. I don't know. So we'll see. So how are wedding plans going there, Amber Jensen?
You know, they're going.
They're going.
We got my mom's dress this weekend and
cool. Oh, good.
Chipping away at everything else. So
that's exciting. Is she going to bring the beautiful Kate Spade bag that she won and outbid me on our online auction at United Way?
She did. I actually just delivered it to her on Saturday, and so she wore it all weekend. She had it with her. She's loving it.
It is beautiful. That was donated to our online auction by Ms. Leslie Oliver from Vogel Law Firm, who's our fearless Madame President. She's doing a fantastic job. And she's leading us through some exciting opportunities at United Way. We were talking about Saxville Elementary, and United Way is just exploring the option. But we know what happens when buildings go vacant for long times in neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen, that whatever goes into that building, Bismarck Public Schools is very, very focused on making sure that services for the community or something very positive happens with that building for that neighborhood. And like Amber said, we've been very involved in the Saxville neighborhood with those kids and parents. And so if there's anything we can do to help, gosh, we're open to ideas and suggestions. We're just here for the community and wanting to really pull services together to make it more efficient and effective to serve the kids in that neighborhood. So we are going to be talking today about why United Way. Why would you want to give your dollars to United Way? We're going to be talking with our Community Impact Chair, John Weber from NASC, and also Chris Block, our Community Impact Coordinator. And honest to God, it takes a village to make sure that your dollars are going where they're needed the most. And so if you're out there, you're wondering how the whole process works, stay tuned. But if you want to be more involved, if you want to be a part of how your dollars are put to use in the community, looking at what the gaps are, what the needs are for services, who's doing the best job at what, and who's not fulfilling certain gaps and roles. What can we do to pull together as a community? Stay tuned or give our office a call, 255-3601. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. You're listening to United Way's Community Talk.
Right Now 57.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. Supertalk1270.com.
Welcome back. We hope that you are having a fantastic Tuesday, that you've had your coffee this morning, that you are alert and ready to work hard to put in your 4 days left this week. You're listening to United Way's Community Talk. I'm Jenna Gullo. I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Slope Area-Wide United Way, and we are looking for volunteers. We need volunteers for this summer because we want to make sure that everyone has access to a meal in our community. And so we're looking for sponsors. We're going to be helping Bismarck Public Schools, Mandan Public Schools, and Great Plains Food Bank serve meals at the park. Bismarck Public Schools are going to be at 4 different parks this summer. We're going to be serving around noontime, and we need volunteers to help serve, to help with traffic, to help keep those kids safe, do activities with the kids. So if you're available, please call our office. The number is 255-3601. Or if you're interested in sponsoring, we have some businesses who are selecting a day to help us with the Bismarck Public Schools sites. And so, for example, NASC, let's say they raise their hand and take Wednesdays. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We should ask John Weber because he's a guest with us today. John Weber from NASC, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks, Jen, for having me. I appreciate it.
So John Weber is our Community Impact Chair, our committee chair. And then we're also talking with Chris Block, who's our Community Impact Coordinator. And we are going to be talking all about the wonderful world of what is community impact at the United Way. And these two guys have really had a heavy hand in really helping us to get to this process. In fact, I was talking with Jim Walsh earlier. He's the one that helps us with this radio show. We're on here every other Tuesday from 11 to noon. And Jim graduated with his master's with Brenda Nagel, who used to be the Community Impact Chair, and she and Jason Milner, long ago, this was even before I was a part of United Way, really helped United Way transition to a community impact model. So it was really exciting. Jim had all sorts of horrible things to say about Brenda Nagel. He's nodding his head. Yes, no, that's not true at all. But let's start off. What is community impact, John?
Community impact is really where we go out and make sure that we assess the needs of our communities and we're aligning our funding and our initiatives along with those specific needs in the community.
So, John, this isn't your first rodeo. You've been on the United Way board before. And so talk to us about what life was like back then when you served your first 2 terms. And when was that?
Yeah, I've been on the board. My prior term was late 90s, early 2000s, and it was a different process. It was a bunch of people coming and sitting in a room. We'd have the agencies come in. It was a fairly labor-intensive process for us to go through and to take those. And in a lot of cases, it was, our good partners that we just continued to fund the same programs over and over. And we took a step back and we really said, how can we improve this process? How can we change it so that we're more aligning, the things that we're funding, being good stewards of those community dollars and aligning them with the basic needs of our community.
Well, that's so true. And how do we drive better at results? That's been a big shift, is holding agencies accountable. So it's not just the one who does the best presentation or tugs at the heartstrings the best. Because you guys would sit there for 3 days in a row and listen to multiple agencies coming in, and typically the same ones year after year.
Yeah, and the ones that were good at presenting that information, they know how to tug at those heartstrings, and you'd want to help them and fund them. But we took a step back and really wanted to focus that towards what are those needs, and results is a lot of it. We went through an education process with those agencies, really to helping them better understand, how to measure those results, what were the types of things that, we could measure the impact that we were making in the community.
So Chris Block, our Community Impact Coordinator at United Way, what are some of the things that the reviewers look for when they're looking at some of these agencies?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, we look to see what are the needs in the community that you're looking to address. We know that there are lots of good agencies out there doing lots of great work, and so we want to see what is your program doing that is meeting a need in our community. We also look to see past results that you've achieved as a program. What have you achieved when you're working towards these goals? And then also, are you working with other agencies to accomplish these goals, or are you going at it alone? Just some of the examples of things we look at.
Well, that's so true, because we say so often at United Way that, we can't possibly solve all the world's problems by ourselves, that it takes really good partnerships. And so I don't think there's any agency who alone can solve homelessness, hunger, domestic violence. I mean, it really takes people coming together. And then also what we've found to be really successful is measuring results together.
Yeah, in fact, last year we brought all our agencies together and sat down and looked at, like John said, how can we best help you measure your results? We want to see, for the dollars that people are investing in United Way, are we able to then come back to them and demonstrate exactly what was able to be accomplished in our community? And that's really important to us. It's important to our board, and it's important to our partner agencies as well.
So one area of focus has been education. And talk to us about, why is education so important? I mean, we want to get ahead of the problems before they develop and prevent them.
Yeah, Jenna, one of the things that we looked at last year was 38% of our low-income children in the Bismarck-Mandan area are not reading at proficiency level by the 3rd grade, making them 4 times more likely to drop out in school later on. And so
I hope people heard that. 4 times, so 38% of our low-income kids. That's such a large percentage that are going down the wrong track, and we know this by the end of 3rd grade.
Yep. And so, some of the things that we do is we're sending case management into those homes of those at-risk students and trying to help them identify the root causes of those issues that their families are facing, helping them to stabilize housing to prevent homelessness, linking them to mental health counseling and transportation initiatives, and just helping find mentors, tutors, and readers in the community.
Wow. And what kind of results have we seen, Chris?
Just this last year, we helped over 200 struggling readers improve their reading skills to grade level. Like John said, that's giving them a drastically more significant chance of increasing their chances of graduating from high school on time. So helping generate some huge results for over 200 kids.
That's amazing. And then reading proficiency and math achievement was measured collectively. So for these kids who are receiving case management, so they may have had attendance issues, behavior issues, might just their parents or parent might be struggling for whatever reason. they're actually getting case managers in the homes now. And United Way is the only one that funds that sort of a program. We've seen great results with those kids because that case manager is now able to link them to transportation vouchers, mental health counseling, mentorship, things that United Way funds and makes sure are accessible to these kids.
Yeah, and you look at these kids who are struggling, it can be for any number of reasons. And so that's what's so great about getting and working with these kids at home is you can help address not only the in-school issues that are leading to these deficiencies, but the things that they're facing out of school as well. Look at 20% increases for children who are receiving this assistance in reading and math compared to other low-income students in our community. Definitely a good use of United Way dollars.
Yeah, and aren't they, the kids that are part of this collaborative, aren't they also 27% more likely to hit their math benchmarks?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's unbelievable. So we know it's working and we have to do more of it. So, John, what are some of the things that you've learned over the years with the community impact process?
I think one of the things, and we'll probably get into the details of the process here in a little bit, but, just going out and doing some of those site visits and seeing, you go to their place of business where they're operating and seeing the skills and the tools that they're using, the resources that they have available, and the impact really that they're making in the community, each one of them. So, for me, I think that's probably one of the most valuable things we do is we go out and really validate where those dollars are going to be used in the community.
Yeah, I think the site visits, Dr. Chuppy talks about them every single year. We actually have our board members do those site visits along with other volunteers on the review committee. And, those site visits now, because of the prep work on Chris's end, are just much more informed. It's not just making a cold visit out to the agencies, from past reporting to United Way, where they've struggled, where they've succeeded. And it offers that inside perspective that many times an agency can't really reflect that on paper when they apply for the grant.
Exactly. And it's just being able to go out there and to be able to ask those questions and have a conversation with them to make sure that, we're being good stewards of those dollars that we receive.
When people at NASC ask you, because you've been on our board, I think is this your third term now?
Second term.
Well, you had two
yes,
back-to-back
third,
terms, right? So now you're on your third one after a little bit of a break there. What is it that you say to people wanting to give to United Way? I want to explore that more when we come back. I also want to talk more about what our process is and how our listeners can get more involved in deciding where their dollars are used. You're listening to United Way's Community Talk on Super Talk 1270. We'll be back in a few.
Right now, 57.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back. You're listening to United Way's Community Talk. I'm Jenna Gullo. I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Slope Area-Wide United Way, and we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate all of our donors and volunteers, and we absolutely need you for a plan we've come up with to make sure everyone has a place to eat this summer. So we're going to be helping out Bismarck Public Schools, who used to feed kids in the elementary schools and only the kids that went to Camp Ed. Well, this year they've agreed to feed the entire neighborhood in the park. United Way is funding adults. USDA is funding kids. And Michelle Wagner, the food nutrition director, I don't know her title, but she is just phenomenal. What a phenomenal lady over at Bismarck Public Schools who's taking this on with the support of administration, which is phenomenal again, to make sure that kids and adults have somewhere to go during the summertime. In fact, United Way found out that only 7% of kids are reached during the summer months for a meal. And those are the kids who would normally get fed at breakfast and lunchtime at school during the school year. Well, we're only reaching 7% of those kids during the summer. And so we're hoping for Bismarck Mandan, it's going to be a great increase this summer. We're going to be at Sons of Norway, Wachter Wave Pool, Hillside, Park and Wilmore Elementary this summer. And then Great Plains Food Bank is going to be a couple days at Kiwanis Park and a couple days at the library. And then once again, we're helping out Mandan Public Schools. They're going to be at Dykeshorn Park again this year and Kiwanis Park. And so Mandan, Becky Heiner, just a phenomenal leader, and we're really just replicating what she put together last year. United Way paid for the adults, and the library planned all the activities for the kids. They did reading with kids, reading with heroes in the park. It was just awesome. And so we're hoping to reach everyone in need this summer. If you want to sponsor, it's only $4 a meal, or for an entire park, we're looking at about $5,000, but we need the community to come together so that we can make sure that there is a place for people to get food. And we don't have a soup kitchen in town. So that's what the need we're really trying to fill in the short term until we can come together and explore some solid long-term options. So if you want to volunteer, we're looking for businesses to take a day a week, or individuals. Give our office a call, 255-3601, or go online to volunteerbizman.com, and you can register there. We are talking today about the impact of your dollar when you give through United Way, and also what that process is. A lot of people don't realize the extent of the reviews, and also how many people are involved, and all the different steps that an application or a project goes through, or a new idea. And so Chris Block is our Community Impact Coordinator. John Weber from NISC is our Community Impact Committee Chair. And I welcome you guys onto the show today, and I thank you for all you've done to make sure that, when people do give to United Way, they can trust where those dollars end up.
Thanks, Jenna.
Hey, thank you. No, really, thank you. So, Mr. Weber, talk to me about the actual overall process.
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about it, just the extensiveness of what we go through. We want to make sure that what we're funding is going to the needs of the community and matching up closely with what we think, those major areas of emphasis are for our community that we want to focus on. So we go through that process. We're always looking for volunteers. So anybody who wants to volunteer, please let us know. But we go through and train those volunteers. They go through a review process and read through all of those applications. They help identify any additional questions that they have as we go through and we talk to the agencies. They also want to know, what are their recommendations for funding? Do we fully fund them? Or is it a partial funding, and so forth? Volunteers and board members then go out and we visit each one of those sites and conduct those site visits that we talked about. Just an opportunity to further validate any questions that we have to make sure we understand the program fully as we go through that funding process. From there, it comes back to the Community Impact Committee for review, and our goal is really, we have those different areas of emphasis, education and health and so forth, and we want to come back and we need to balance the budget based on what we think the allocation as a whole are going to be.
Well, and I think that's part of the toughest aspect of this review process is that there is only so much money to spend.
Correct. And so we have to go through and we have to sometimes make some tough decisions on where we're going to do that. You spend that money to make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for the dollar.
Well, and that's also why, it really depends on where we end up with our campaign goal. So if the community comes together through United Way, more agencies will receive higher levels of funding.
Correct. Yeah, there's always needs out there that can be funded. Every year there's things that we can't fully fund based on the allocations that we have available to us.
So then what happens? It goes through the individual review committee's hands. They score those applications, but they also just look at them based on our needs assessment, right? To be able to see what the gaps are and what the highest needs are. Then they do the site visits and the board helps with that. And then it goes to your committee.
Correct. And our committee is the one that has to bring it all together from all of those different individual reviews and has to bring continuity, fairness across the board, and ultimately match it up to the allocations that have been provided by the board.
So what happens if there's an agency, and Chris, you can chime in on this too, but an agency that's providing a service and it's the only agency serving that population and providing that service? I mean, and what happens if they're not doing it at the level in which we or our donors would expect that they be doing that service?
You know, Jenna, that's part of the benefit of being a local organization like United Way, is that we have a very strong relationship with our partner agencies and programs and are able to work with them to help them not only recognize what it is that we're expecting out of the program, but ways that perhaps they could improve. We're able to provide assistance to agencies in the ways that they need it to help grow as a program and provide those needed services.
Well, and also because of some grants that we've written over the course of a few years, we're able to go much deeper, take a deeper dive into many of those needs.
That's correct. You know, we've worked with a couple foundations to be able to provide some assistance to these agencies. We talked about helping them measure results earlier. We've been able to help them grow their individual boards, their individual leadership structures, to be able to be good, solid, strong organizations that are needed to help address some of these concerns.
And so, okay, so now it's not like we'll just cut that agency or cut their funding. We don't want to create gaps, but we will be able to walk hand in hand with them and offer them those specific training. So it could be on reporting outcomes, it could be on fundraising, marketing, succession planning, even executive leadership. I think that's been a big area that the foundations have identified for Bismarck Mandan, and in that we've identified through this review process. If our donors want United Way to operate like a business, we also need to expect that of the agencies that we're funding. Okay, so John, you're in this little, almost like a dance with some of these agencies in determining what's their level of capacity, what are the needs in the community, who's doing what, who's not, what do we need to do ourselves or to pull and rally people around these needs. Then what happens?
Well, so we go through that whole process. We really have to figure out, where are we going to, if there's cuts that have to be made, where are those cuts going to come from? And a lot of it comes from the information that we've determined based on our site visits. It's determined based on maybe the questions that we asked. It's maybe based on some of those past measurables that we had to make sure that, we're seeing the performance that we expect as we move to this community-based impact model. And so that's kind of where we come. And then in the end, we get all of those dollars batched up to the allocation. Sometimes there's, we really like this program. We want to fund this program. We just don't have the dollars available to us. And so, we always hope that we exceed our campaign goals, which maybe gives us some additional dollars that we can come back and fund some of those programs later on as well. But there's always more funding that could be given out than what our allocation process is given to us based on the fundraising in the community. So, but with that, and then from there, we take those recommendations all to the board for final approval.
Yeah, and so the board has final say at that point. And then, a lot of times we do come back. Once we know what our campaign goal, what we've reached, we're able to give out additional dollars. And we've seen that true for our summer feeding program to make sure that there's a place for kids and adults to go for a meal this summer. And so the board just recently allocated $20,000 to make sure we're covering that need because it is a newer gap in our community. Correct. So, John, what are you looking for in people donors and volunteers to help be a part of this process?
It's a lot of work for us to be able to go out and do this. And of course, we're assessing those needs of the community, and what a better way for the community themselves to help get involved, really to better understand, where it goes. You talked a little bit before the break, just saying, when we talk about United Way, what do we tell people? And I always go back to, we're all busy people, and having gone through the process and understanding, how United Way validates that the allocations that they're giving are going to worthwhile causes that match the needs of those community. For me to go out and try to validate all of these individual agencies on my own, that can be a lot of work. And so for me, that's one of the key pieces. And so for anybody who wants to volunteer and get involved in that process, they should let us know.
Well, and I think you become a much more committed donor when you're a part of that process. You see all of the work and scrutiny that goes into it, and compassion as well. I really want to thank you, John Weber, for all the volunteer work that you've done over the course of a decade or two for our community through United Way. We appreciate it. We will be talking in just a couple minutes about the application deadlines. If you are an agency or you have a project out there that you'd like to submit, we'll also be talking about Day of Caring, which will be August 10th. We're looking for community projects still, and we need your help to make sure that we're putting our 1,000 plus volunteers to good use in the community.
Right now, 57.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to United Way's Community Talk. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jenna Gullo, Executive Director of the Missouri Slope Area-Wide United Way, and co-hosting with me today, Amber Jensen is back in the studio.
Good morning, everyone.
We have an exciting summer coming up, lots of projects, and we need your help with our summer meal program. We don't have a soup kitchen anymore in Bismarck, and Spirit of Life Church does an awesome job serving meals Monday through Friday in Mandan. But in Bismarck, we only have Trinity Lutheran, and they are wonderful. They are just phenomenal. They're the experts at it. They offer a meal every Thursday, and they've agreed to include Saturdays. So we're really excited about that. But aside from that, there really aren't many places for people to get a warm meal.
Yeah, so it's been great to have the support of the board to be able to launch this short-term solution to helping feed those in need. And we've had really great partners and businesses that have already signed on. And so if you're interested in helping, Jenna will give us more information on that. But make sure you call our office right away. 255-3601 will be starting next week already.
Yeah, so we need sponsorships to make sure we have enough money to provide these warm meals through the summer. And then we also need volunteers. So we're going to be placing volunteers at 4 parks in Bismarck. We're going to be at Sons of Norway, Wachter Wave Pool, Hillside Park, and Wilmore Elementary School. And so if you are interested in volunteering, contact United Way. We have specific instructions and duties for the volunteers. This is the first time we've really done this. I mean, we did it last year where we funded adults in 2 parks in Bismarck, but the turnout wasn't very good. And so we're thinking maybe people just didn't know about it, or, you know, at the time it was only for parents of the kids. And so we're hoping this year we'll get a better response because we're going to be in more locations, and also we're helping to promote this year. So we put a flyer in all of the United Way backpacks. So what we do at United Way, if you aren't sure, we do the United Way backpack program where we fill 789 backpacks full of food for kids to take home with them over the weekend. Because what we found is that, you know, it's really sad that so many kids are going hungry. And it's typically not during the school year because they get fed breakfast and lunch, and then our backpacks over the weekend. It's during the summertime where we as a state rank 49th. We are 49th in reaching those kids who are eligible for free meals over the summertime. And I've seen it in my foster kids. I mean, you can tell when kids have food issues because they are so worried, or they've been so worried about where their next meal is going to come from. And it stays with them their whole life.
Yeah, and then just that an anxiety of not knowing. I can't imagine if you get to school or you're trying to, you know, read a book and just having that anxiety of hunger pains and all of that just kind of always being in the back of your mind. So it's nice that this will be consistent. We'll be at all 4 parks all summer long. And so if a family lives nearby, they just will always know that that meal will be provided. I know they aren't going to be serving on July 4th, and some of them won't be serving on July 5th. So if you're attending a park or you're going to a park for a meal, just kind of be looking for those 2 dates. Otherwise, we'll be going into August.
Well, and we'll also be providing the United Way backpacks full of food for that long holiday weekend. So if you want to be a part of that, give our office a call. Let us know. For the 2016-2017 school year, we are looking for sponsors, and we do have businesses lined up who can pack and deliver the backpacks full of food, and they sponsor $2,000. But because we've expanded to middle school and high school, our costs are about $3,800. So we still need individual sponsorships for this upcoming school year. It's only $5 for a backpack full of food. But before we forget, this summer, if you want to volunteer, you can take a day. You'll be volunteering between 11:45 and 1:15. We'll start around June 9th at some of the parks, June 13th at a couple others, and we're looking for 2 volunteers per day at each of the 4 parks, and we've actually got 2.5 of the parks covered already because our community is so generous, and so we still need sponsorships. It's only $4 for a meal. You can go online to msaunitedway.org to help cover those costs, or you can call us to volunteer.
Yeah, it's great to have the community support. I know I had 2 meetings on Friday, and American Bank Center signed on, Glance and Mode signed on. So even if you're a small office, this is a great opportunity to get involved and really help fund the solution of hunger. It's a great need in our community.
Well, and then it buys us at United Way more time to try to find a more permanent solution. And we've had talks with different partners and donors as well. And so we're looking at different buildings and looking at places around the community, people who might already have a kitchen, in their place of work that might be able to rally around this important need. So when people talk about needs, they often ask me, what are the top needs in Bismarck-Mandan? We know that 10% of the kids living in Bismarck-Mandan are living in poverty. 1 in 5 of those kids, of all kids, are dealing with hunger. 1 in 5. We know that suicide rates are really high amongst our high schoolers who have attempted suicide. 1 in 10 kids. 1 in 10. That's so incredibly sad. We know that correlates with the kids in our community not having positive adult role models. We did a survey, and only 35% of our youth felt that they have a positive adult role model. If you have no one to turn to, nowhere to go, sometimes that just exasperates the issues that you're facing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were just talking at our last Women United meeting last Thursday, and one of our volunteers that goes there quite frequently, she had I don't know if it was a little girl or a little boy, came up to her and said, "I wish you were my mommy." And so, the need for a positive role model is out there, and that's just us taking that next step and making sure we're in the classrooms. We're there to just listen to these kids, say hi, ask them about their weekend, and try to show them what it's like to have a positive influence.
Yeah, absolutely. So join our United Way Adopt a Classroom program. If you're a business, an individual, or a member of our Women United group, call our office if you want to be linked with the classroom. We go in for an hour every week, and you can take turns with your other colleagues if you'd like. We want to talk quickly about Day of Caring. We are recruiting 1,000 volunteers, and it's for August 10th. We have various projects around the community.
Yeah, and our goal is to have 50 projects for those 1,000 volunteers. So if you haven't gotten your project in, or you know of someone in the community that could use a little extra help, please still consider calling our office 255-3601. You can still fill out the application form on our website, msaunitedway.org. We know there are a lot of needs in our community and a lot of people that could use some extra assistance, and so why not consider submitting that application on their behalf. If you're a nonprofit out there, you're a church group or another civic organization, please consider submitting. Again, that date is August 10th. We can send 100 volunteers. We can send 2 volunteers to your office. It's nice to have a wide variety of projects, whether it's painting, organizing an office, doing some landscaping work that you've always wanted to have done at your facility. The options are endless as long as we can find those skilled or unskilled volunteers. It's a really great opportunity. We know as a nonprofit at United Way, we can't oftentimes afford a lot of the things that are on your wish list.
And a big shout out to Sherwin-Williams, who came into our office about a week and a half ago. They donated all the paint and they painted the entire interior at the United Way headquarters.
Yeah, and so we also had Wells Fargo that drove by our office and said, you know what, we'd love to paint the outside. And so it's just a great opportunity to do some of those things that you might not always have the funds to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you're an office out there, if you have office equipment, office supplies that are still good, but you're looking to get rid of, we'll make sure that they go to the right home. Just contact us at United Way. We have a big group from Deloitte who will be coming in and volunteering with us. We also have some folks that need a few days of volunteer time. Go online to our website at volunteerbizman.com. And we also are accepting applications. So if you're looking for funding in 2017, the deadlines are approaching. You can submit your application anytime between June 8th and July 14th. And we have a training for you, because we want to make it as easy as possible. So if you're the one that's going to be in charge of completing an application for your program to fill one of these needs in our community, you can meet us at Great River Energy. They're donating their room on June 8th at 9 a.m. You can find out more information about all of this. We need about 50 volunteers who review and vet these applications. We've had auditors, engineers, social workers, police officers, you name it, church folks, church people. But we need your help in making sure that your dollars are going where they needed the most. Go online to msaunitedway.org. We have a community impact and a partners tab, and you can sign up to apply. Not everyone's accepted, but we have a vetting process for this. Sign up to apply to be a community impact reviewer. We're also looking for people to help our campaign cabinet. So if you would like to apply, it's a great networking opportunity, a great way to step into people's doors on behalf of United Way in the community and meet new folks. Become a campaign cabinet volunteer. We have all of our division leaders filled, but they are needing your help. So we appreciate you. Go online to msaunitedway.org.